What if I told you that there are places on our planet so mysterious, so utterly baffling, that even our most brilliant scientists throw their hands up in defeat? Places where the laws of physics seem to bend, where reality itself appears to glitch, and where every attempt at explanation only deepens the mystery further. I'm talking about locations that have stumped researchers for decades, places that make even the most logical minds question everything they thought they knew about our world. These aren't just unexplained phenomena we can brush off or ignore. These are real places you can visit today, where the impossible happens on a regular basis, and where science has completely failed to provide answers. Node-bending locations, let me tell. Before we dive into these, minute something that might shock you. I've spent the last 6 months traveling to 3 of these places myself, interviewing local researchers, and documenting evidence that will make you question everything you thought you knew about our planet. What I discovered wasn't just fascinating, it was downright terrifying in some cases. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some of the world's leading scientists have dedicated their entire careers to studying these locations, only to walk away more confused than when they started. We're going to explore 5 places that science simply cannot explain. And trust me, the stories I'm about to share will leave you wondering what other secrets our planet is hiding from us. Oh wait, don't forget to leave, like, and subscribe for more mysteries like this. The first location takes us to a small village in Romania, where gravity itself seems to have gone completely haywire. Deep in the Hoia Baciu forest, just outside Cluj-Napoca, lies what locals call the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. But this isn't some folklore or legend passed down through generations. This is a place where modern instruments malfunction, where compasses spin wildly, and where people experience things that defy every law of physics we know. Dr. Adrian Patrus, a respected biologist who has studied this forest for over 40 years, first noticed something was wrong when he was conducting routine plant research in 1968. He was using standard surveying equipment when suddenly every single instrument began giving impossible readings. His compass pointed in multiple directions simultaneously. His altimeter claimed he was both above and below sea level at the same time, and his radio equipment picked up signals from frequencies that shouldn't exist. What makes this even stranger is the perfect circular clearing in the heart of the forest. This barren patch of land, roughly 100 feet in diameter, refuses to grow any vegetation whatsoever. Soil samples have been analyzed by laboratories across Europe, and every test comes back showing perfectly healthy, fertile earth. Yet nothing will grow there. Seeds planted in this soil thrive when moved outside the circle, but die within hours when placed back inside. The electromagnetic anomalies are so severe that electronic devices frequently stop working entirely, or cameras capture strange geometric shapes of light that aren't visible to the human eye, and audio recordings pick up voices speaking in languages that linguists cannot identify. Local researcher Florin Klanda documented over 200 cases of people experiencing missing time in this forest. Individuals who entered for what felt like minutes only to emerge hours later with no memory of what happened. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. The trees inside this forest grow in impossible spirals, twisting and contorting in patterns that botanists say violate basic plant biology. Some trees appear to be growing in perfect spirals, as if an invisible force is constantly rotating them as they grow. When researchers tried to straighten young saplings using supports, the trees actually pushed against the restraints with enough force to break steel cables. Our second mysterious location sits in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, where an entire island seems to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Sandy Island appeared on maps and nautical charts for over a century, showing up consistently in the same coordinates between Australia and New Caledonia. Maritime records showed ships successfully navigating around it, and satellite imagery seemed to confirm its existence. Then, In 2012, something impossible happened. When researchers from the University of Sydney sailed to these exact coordinates to study the island's ecosystem, they found nothing but open ocean. The island had simply vanished. But here's the truly mind-bending part. It didn't just disappear from reality. It began disappearing from historical records as well. Maps that had shown Sandy Island for decades suddenly showed empty ocean. Satellite images that had previously displayed the landmass were somehow altered to show water. Even more disturbing, maritime logs that had detailed encounters with the island were found to have entries that made no logical sense, describing ships navigating around invisible obstacles in empty water. Dr. Maria Seaton, who led the expedition to find Sandy Island, described the experience as witnessing reality rewrite itself. GPS coordinates that had been verified hundreds of times led to empty ocean. Yet the satellite data still insisted something was there. When her team dropped sonar equipment, they detected what appeared to be a solid landmass beneath the waves. But visual confirmation showed nothing but water. The most unsettling discovery came when they tried to collect water samples from the area where the island should have existed. The water samples, when analyzed, contained sediment and organic matter consistent with land runoff, despite there being no land anywhere in sight. Marine life in the area behaved as if they were navigating around a solid obstacle, swimming in patterns that suggested they were avoiding something that simply wasn't there. The third location brings us to the Taos Hum in New Mexico, where residents have been driven to madness by a sound that technically doesn't exist. For over 30 years, roughly 2% of the population in and around Taos has been tormented by a persistent, low-frequency humming noise that sophisticated audio equipment cannot detect. The sound has been described as resembling a distant diesel engine idling, but no source has ever been identified. Dr. Joe Mullins, a former university professor turned acoustic engineer, moved to Taos in 1989 and immediately began experiencing the hum. What started as mild annoyance quickly escalated into something far more sinister. The constant droning sound prevented him from sleeping, caused severe headaches, and eventually led to what he describes as auditory hallucinations. But here's the disturbing part. When he brought professional recording equipment to document the phenomenon, the devices registered complete silence. Teams from the University of New Mexico, equipped with sensitive microphones and spectrum analyzers, spent months trying to capture evidence of the hum. They recorded everything from subsonic frequencies to ultrasonic ranges. But their equipment showed nothing unusual. Yet dozens of residents continued to report the maddening sound, with some becoming so desperate they've considered moving away from their lifelong homes. The mystery deepened when researchers discovered that people who hear the hum share no common characteristics. They come from different age groups, have varying degrees of hearing sensitivity, and show no patterns in their medical histories. Even stranger, the ability to hear the hum can appear and disappear without warning. Some residents report years of torment followed by sudden, complete silence, while others describe the opposite experience. Laboratory studies conducted by Dr. James Kelly revealed something that challenges everything we know about human hearing. Brain scans of hum sufferers show unusual activity in auditory processing regions, even when no external sound is present. The neural patterns suggest their brains are actively processing audio input, but the source of this input remains completely unknown. When researchers played various frequencies to test subjects, they could not reproduce the specific sensation described by hum sufferers. Moving across the globe to our fourth location, we encounter Lake Karachay in Russia, where water itself has become something that defies scientific understanding. This small lake in the Ural Mountains holds the distinction of being the most radioactively contaminated place on Earth. But that's just the beginning of its mysteries. The radiation levels are so extreme that standing on its shore for 1 hour would deliver a lethal dose, Yet the lake continues to exhibit properties that nuclear physicists cannot explain. Dr. Natasha Volkoff, a radiation specialist who has studied the lake since the 1990s, first noticed anomalies when her dosimeter readings began fluctuating in impossible patterns. Radiation doesn't behave erratically. It follows predictable decay patterns that can be measured precisely. But at Lake Karachay, radiation levels seem to pulse and shift in ways that violate fundamental nuclear physics. The water itself displays characteristics that shouldn't exist. Despite containing enough radioactive material to kill anything that touches it, the lake supports an ecosystem of organisms that appear to be thriving in conditions that should be completely lethal. These aren't just radiation-resistant bacteria. Researchers have discovered complex multicellular organisms that seem to be using radiation as an energy source in ways that current biology cannot explain. What started as a journey to document the unexplained has left me with more questions than answers. From Romania's twisted forest to Russia's impossible lake, these places remind us that our planet still holds secrets beyond our comprehension. The most unsettling part isn't that science can't explain them. It's that they seem to be challenging the very foundations of what we consider reality. Next week, I'll be investigating 3 more locations where the impossible happens daily, including footage I captured that will completely change how you view our world.